Welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast, featuring Anthony, Chris, John, Sean, and Mark. This is a weekly podcast where five guys come together to make the ultimate conversational pie about the games they are currently playing.
All right, welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris. Joining me is Anthony.
Hey.
And John.
Hi, I'm going to roll for my intro. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, that's mediocre. So, hey, how's it going?
All right. Mark and Sean could not join us this week. All right.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. This week we're going to get started with Monster Hunter World. You both have been diving back into that. I'm going to let John start us off with this one.
Okay. So, yeah, I have been playing a little bit of Monster Hunter World with the time that I've had. Love it. One of my favorite games of all time. Got back into it with the whole Monster Hunter Now kick that we're going through. And I've recently been trying out weapons that I've never tried before. For example, I tried out the dual blades, which are a lot of fun. You're pretty vulnerable when you use them, but like you can get status effects up pretty quick. And I've been using the gun lance, which is just as crazy as it is in Monster Hunter Now. Basically, you're not like you still take a little bit of damage when you block, but it's significantly less. Like a good example is I've been stuck on Tigrex for like a little while with this character, and I put a gun lance on and basically block and poke while he's all riled up and running around, and then once he calms down a little bit, I start like throwing combos at him and using my wyvern stake, and yeah, it works really, really well. I can't wait to see what it's like in the end game. The game really doesn't lose its charm, and the community's just as active as it was when the game. I wouldn't say when the game came out, but like it's still pretty active, especially in late game stuff. So it's still been pretty easy to like find people to join your hunts and such. But yeah, having a good time.
Nice. Have you been mainly like what is your approach been? Have you been like tackling the DLC again, or just like more so just the main story?
I mean, I'm at the point in the game where it's all just DLC now. So yeah, it's mainly DLC stuff. I've been going back and like testing out weapons on previous hunts. So yeah, mainly DLC though.
Okay, cool. All right, Anthony, and you've decided to dip your toe back into this one. How you been feeling with it?
Yeah, so I haven't quite jumped into it yet. I mean, I've loaded into the game, but I haven't pretty much played any of it yet. I've just kind of been mulling over what kind of approach I want to take, kind of figuring out, as a returning player, I haven't done any DLC. I dropped off before it released. I have the DLC, so that's kind of where the goal is to get to that stuff. I'm just kind of figuring out what kind of approach I want to take. I'm on the fence on. I'm leaning towards a new weapon, but I'm also like, the bow is my main weapon, and I love the bow. So it's like, bow or try something new. I don't know. And then once I decide, it's like, where do I start? That's the question, because I don't remember how to play the bow. Like this was like 4-6 years ago. So I'm just navigating that aspect right now, trying to figure out the path I'm going to take. But once I do, I want to get to the new stuff. Like a lot of the builds I was looking at, like a lot of it incorporates Iceborne equipment and all the new features that come with that. So there's a lot. It almost seems like a completely different game to what we played. So that's exciting to look forward to, especially since we have basically at least a year, give or take, till Wilds comes out. So I'll definitely get there. Just a matter of figuring out the route. I will say, keep going back and forth in my head, but right now, in this moment, I'm kind of leaning towards using the bow again. But we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed this game a lot when it came out. Like I got hooked into it. I have no desire to go back to this. As we talked before, I'm very excited for Wilds. I think with me, from my experience with this game, it was a first time experience. You get hooked and you enjoy it kind of thing. It's not a game I necessarily go back to, right? It's like it's one of those games that core first experience is a great time, especially when playing with you guys. But it's just like a one and done kind of thing. Like that's not to say I barely played the first one. I can't remember where my hours were at with this one, but I know I played it a decent chunk with you guys when it came out. Like I think the year it came out, it was in my top 5 for PSN
Yeah,
games for hours spent.
and you and I specifically, Chris, we played together quite a bit, so I imagine you're probably around where I'm at, and not including the time I've just spent in game in the lobby. Basically, I think I clocked out about 120 hours from the when we played before.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine you're probably sitting around the same, give or take.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a safe bet. Um, John, Anthony, any other thoughts you guys want to say on this?
I got this is my Palico right here. He's doing a little pose, wearing a like a Farquaad wig.
Bo is definitely a solid choice though, Anthony. If you're thinking about playing again and we end up playing together, like team composition does wonders. And Bo, you're at a distance, and I'm pretty much
Mhm.
tanking with the gun lance. So
True, and that's the thing. Like as we've talked about on this show many times, I'm quite adverse to difficult games, and I just found with the bow, like the fact that I'm pretty much mid range. I know that I won't get into it, but there is like a kind of a closer range style with the bow, but I was always doing the mid range stuff. Um, I just found it. I felt safer, and I was able to accomplish a lot more. Um, I don't know where it ranks as far as difficulty for mastering like the bow compared to other weapons, but I don't know. It just felt natural to me. So I got to decide because it's like I'm already taking on having to step back into and relearn. So it's like, do I want to take on more by taking on another weapon that I just have never touched? Because I'm sure once if I dabble with the bow, I'm sure it'll all start coming back to me. I know there's some differences nowadays, but with it, but yeah, um, definitely leaning towards the bow. And yeah, I think if you do go do Gunlance, that would be a primo team up right there.
All right, cool. So next up then we have obviously Destiny 2. Anthony, I'll let you start us off with this one.
Yeah, so we got the class items this week, new mission. I know some of the community is kind of a little unhappy because it is a two-player mission, and not only is it two-player, it's required two-player, so it's not like you can load in and try and solo it. And I've ran it a handful of times now with a couple different people, and I mean it's probably possible with no mic. I mean, we see people out there no micing like Val the Disciple, which as we know has many symbols and callouts. So I mean, if that can be done, I'm sure this can be done with no mic. But just me personally, I'm like, how can someone do this with no mic? Because like there's a lot of communication that's required. So some people are unhappy. A lot of people loved it though. I'm one of them. I loved it. It's not something I'm going to use to grind for the exotic because it is a little on the longer side for like the level of um, potential error that could happen because it's not like, oh, we wiped, okay, let's restart and at the start of this boss fight. It's like, no, if you lose, it's over. Like you got to start from the beginning of the whole mission, right? So that's the only part I guess is kind of poopy, but other than that aspect, which I guess is kind of a big one, but the mission itself, it was really fun. It has like arguably like raid level style mechanics, which is great, especially it gives like say if you and one buddy play Destiny together, you don't raid. Like this gives you like a front center experience of what running a raid could potentially be like, which may lead to them feeling more comfortable in after watching a YouTube guide jumping into LFG which is great because we need more of the community doing raids. Like the percentage is just not as high as you would think. I think it's like, I don't know, it's somewhere between like 10 and 20% or something of players like of the community actually like consistently do raids and stuff. So where was I going with this? Oh, the exotic mission. Yeah, it's great. The class item's great. There's so many different combos. The warlock one is great. I'm leaning towards though using the one I got, Osiomancy, with Star Eater scales because it just sounds right up my alley. And the new season, I dabbled with the seasonal activity. Not sure how I feel about it quite yet. I need to play a little more, kind of fully decide if I like it or not, how much I'll grind it. We'll see. But yeah, and then just pinnacle grind as usual. Been a long time since we've done that, so that's a fun thing. Having to jump into a bunch of different stuff that I usually avoid, but it's been good.
Yeah, I pretty much like echo what you said. The new exotic quest is really cool. It's really interesting. I like how they kind of approached it because with the structure of the mission is as you start off with the timer. You hit a certain point, the timer gets extended. You hit another point, the timer gets extended up to like 5 or like 6 extensions. So while there is a timer and you feel rushed, realistically, you have a lot of time to run through it. So it can be very forgiving in certain aspects. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, the new episode dropped this week, as Anthony said. I'm still kind of up in the air with that seasonal activity as well. I think the big factor is still getting used to it. I only ran it once or twice, and before we left for our trip this weekend, I learned more things about the mission that can't speak right now. That makes it seem more rewarding if you do it properly. But the issue is like when I ran the mission, I ran it with randoms, and clearly none of us knew how to do it properly. So like we missed out on like the max rewards you can get. So I think in comparison, that activity to say like last season's one, the coil, there was like a major difference just in terms of like time spent and rewards. Granted, this mission is a lot quicker than the coil. The coil was a whole like roguelite experience where you go through, get these bonuses, and you just keep pushing to different bosses. Where this one kind of seems like more normal, but yeah, it's definitely I'm gonna have to spend more time with it, see what I feel with it. The other activity they added is pretty interesting. It's similar into the aspect where it's timed. You go in, you have a minute timer. There are things you can shoot to extend the timer, and basically you have to make it through to the end. That is another thing where I had issues running with random, so I eventually will have like a 3-man team and give that an honest try. Anthony, you said that it drops the Season of Dawn weapons with double perks in the columns.
Yeah, I just watched a quick guide video from Mazdacross, and at the end he said, yeah, it was not only dropping the Season of Dawn weapons, but he said they were double perks. I can't remember if it was both columns or just one, but double perks in some form.
Okay, all right, cool.
Which is actually really, especially with that linear fusion.
Mhm.
Definitely pumped to try and get a good roll of that.
Yeah, all the weapons they have are pretty dope. Of course, like we still don't have the auto rifle, which was the best, but hopefully that gets added later in the episode structure. But yeah, it's really interesting to see because how they've changed things. It's like 3 bursts of like updates for the episode. Right now we have Battle Pass 1 to 100 ranks. The next drop will be 101 to 150. Final drop will be 151 to 200. So like they've added more ranks, which in turn gives more rewards, but like they've time gated them. So kind of see how that plays out. Yeah, the exotic class item, like Anthony said, is a huge game changer. The Hypothesis Veil Star Eater combo is disgusting. Glad I grinded and got that. And earlier today, I ended up getting the Empowering Rift causes Devour with the Starfire protocol. Empower damage generates grenades and all that combo. So really good synergy there. Yeah, there's still some like roles I do want to see, but I don't feel like that need currently to have to like grind it like I was grinding it before we left for our trip. Um, yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything for what I was gonna say. John, I know we were busy with our trip this weekend. You got back into Monster Hunter, so I don't think you ended up spending any time in D2 this week, but like how's the urge to go finish that story or like get into the story more?
Oh, the urge is there. I will be diving into it at some point this week. We came back yesterday, and I was just too exhausted to do really anything. I maybe logged into Monster Hunter for like 20 minutes to an hour, and then pretty much crashed. And then today I slept while my son was at school, and then played Monster Hunter for the rest of the night until now. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get back into it this week. I'm gonna finish that story, and hopefully I can start to understand more about Prismatic and get some of those new weapons and enjoy some of those new activities.
All right, all right. Any final thoughts on Destiny before we move on?
Yeah, I can't wait to attempt the new raid. See how it goes. I don't think we're gonna beat it. At least not at the first. I have a feeling it's gonna be more than 2 attempts. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I'm optimistic it won't be that, but I just have a feeling. But we got a pretty good team. So
Oh yeah, no. Actually, now I
we'll
think
see.
about it, our last episode we recorded before the video they released, right? For the future of like
Oh
the other two
yeah,
episodes.
yeah. Those
That
look. Oh
yeah,
man.
those look really dope. Like so we're currently in the first episode, John. I don't know if did you end up watching that? It was like a 5-minute video. You probably didn't because
Uh,
yeah, because you still got to finish the
no,
story. Um,
yeah.
but like context that is not spoiler related to the story. The second episode is basically going to be like vampire themed, and they're going to have like potion crafting added to it. And then the third episode is themed around the Dreadnought patrol area from Destiny 1 and like diving back into that. And it looks fucking really dope. Any thoughts on, any more thoughts on that, Anthony, on the reveals we saw?
I just of the 3 episodes we're into the first one. We've seen some decent stuff from episode 2 and just mainly concept art and stuff for 3. Obviously they're working on it right now. But of the 3 that we have in front of us, like the second and third one appeal to me the most. So I'm having fun right now. Don't get me wrong in episode 1, but now I'm like we have to wait longer than a season because of the new format, right? And I just want to get to the next one quicker because the next one's like the whole vampire-esque like castles and like fallen like vampire hunters, like that one weapon that looks like it might shoot stakes, like so cool. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm like I said, I'm enjoying my time now, but I'm excited at least for episode 2 for sure. 3, obviously, I am, but we only really saw some concept art for that, so I'm looking forward to once we see some more footage for that as well. And then obviously, Destiny Frontiers. Who knows what that's going to look like? But if it's going to be, who knows? Like that, Frontiers is such a big term, you know. Like, could like is it going to go full on MMO? Is it going to be like all the planets, just all the planets, like, or is it going to be Destiny 1 and 2 go away, and now it's just Destiny Frontiers, Destiny 1, 2, and beyond are all in one thing. You know what I mean? I'm dreaming here, I know, but
Say
you
it.
never know.
Don't get the hopes up too much. You gotta keep them in check. But yeah. No, I'm interested to see what the future holds for sure. All right. Next up, I ended up throwing this in here because I think it's safe to say you guys played this a little bit this week, Monster Hunter Now. Like you like for context, we went to YetiCon. We got there Friday in the evening and we left yesterday, which was Sunday. And I don't even know how many hours you guys fucking ended up playing that game in total, but I'll let John go into it.
So I probably didn't play as much as Anthony and Mark did, but yeah, the weekend was full of monster hunting at the convention, which I mean kind of added a little more spice to it, I guess you can say, because Mark said he wasn't getting into it, and then he got into it, which definitely surprised me a little bit, and he pretty much caught up to us during the weekend, which is fun. Also, they released the gun lance weapon just before we went, so we were playing around with that a little bit, and turns out it's extremely overpowered and very fun to play. Uh, different cool little combos you can do, and the blast, like the shell blast, obviously is like just the way to go. You can continuously just do that and be fine. Um, yeah, so I mean, I didn't play as much as them. I got through the story for sure. Today, I think I finished the story because I had a little bit of an issue with the Rathalos, and I didn't want to wait until my health was full, so I kept waiting until my health was like 50, and then going back into it, and then dying again, and then doing it over and over. I ended up beating him this morning, and then finally unlocking some of the newer features, which kind of add more of an interest to the game and kind of give it more of a Pokemon Go kind of vibe, where you have like the shards that you love, you unlock by like walking, and you can actually like track a certain monster. If you kill a certain amount of monsters, you're guaranteed to get this monster, which kind of cool if you're like armor hunting or weapon hunting. Um, yeah, that's all I gotta say though. Really,
How about you, Anthony?
Yeah, we walked a lot. Like I had to take Motrin multiple times this weekend because of how sore my feet were, like just to ease some of the pain. And then I would respond by going for another walk. So, yeah, it's been great. The gun lance is awesome. Although I fear because it came out like a week or so after I started playing, that I'm using it to carry myself up, carry through the story. I'm doing post story, like seasonal story stuff with it, but it's not my end game weapon. Like I'm going to be switching. I'm basically using it to get materials because it's very user friendly. It deletes like lower level monsters really easily. My fear though is once I make the switch to what I intend to main, I'm going to have an uphill battle because I haven't been using that weapon, so I'm not going to be as proficient with it. So it's going to be a bit of a trick there. Like I'm going to have to probably focus a lot more on like the weaker monsters just to get the combos down, and like the movements and like the timings. Like for example, the longsword relies a lot on perfect dodges and like perfect timed counters, where you basically like you quickly sheath your sword, and just as you're about to get hit, you let go of your screen and you unsheath it and you like blink forward through the monster. Um, but if you time it wrong, you just get hit. So I haven't really had much practice with that because I've been using the gun lance, but fret not, I will get the time in at some point. Uh, And they added the first Elder Dragon to the game this past weekend, actually, too. I haven't tried it yet. Sean has. Maybe he can touch on that next week. Um, but I've seen some videos. It looks pretty tough, pretty cool. Like I'm actually blown away by like this game. Like how, like as far as AR games go, Pokemon Go has nothing on this game. I mean, it has a much broader audience because Pokemon reaches to the mountaintops, right? But this game is so detailed, so in depth. The mechanics are crazy. Like just how the way the intricacies of how each weapon works. It's not as simple as Pokemon. You just tap on the screen and attack, and then my special's full. Click it. No, it's like combos of like holds, taps, holds and swipes left, right, like tapping where you tap on your screen, whether it's at the top or in the bottom. Like, they put a lot of time and effort into this game, and I'm surprised I waited this long to give it a try. And I probably won't be going as hard long term as I did this past weekend, but I foresee myself playing this for sure for this entire summer and beyond. We'll see, but I have a feeling it'll be, as long as I have the interest of trying to just kind of being more health oriented, like better, just having better health overall. I'll probably continue to play this because it motivates me to go for walks. I just need to go for less of them right now because I'm doing too many.
Yeah, it was interesting this weekend. I got to see the other side of like back in like the Pokemon era, the Pokemon Go era, of like being super into it and like going places, and like if we would be like hanging out with somebody who wasn't into Pokemon Go, seeing how like they felt like during those situations. Because this weekend I basically had to embrace don't look back with you guys. Like essentially, like if I had needed to go somewhere, I just would not look back at you guys, because like you guys were into the game, like you would like you'd be playing it, but I'd be like, I need to get to this place, I need to keep going, like I can't keep stopping, like I got my own things I need to do and shit, like so I just like embrace like the like they're doing their own thing, I'm just going and like which I think is like what you have to do in those scenarios. Like I'm glad you guys were having fun with it, but like there were moments where like we get to Blue Mountain and I'm like, all right, let's check in, and then Mark's just like, oh hold up, I gotta do a monster hunt. I'm like, dude, let's just get into the hotel. All right, like just like, but
yeah, we did lose Mark a few.
I was just like, I just want to get shit sorted, like so we could chill and all that. Like it wasn't bad Friday night, because Friday night we were just chilling and all that, just like doing whatever. There's no like schedule, but like the next morning I'm like, all right, let's go to the convention, let's get our things. And it's just like I look back and like you guys are doing a thing, and then I just start beelining it toward the thing. I'm like, fuck it, like I'm just going.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad you guys are vibing with it, but yeah, it's not for me, unfortunately. Any final thoughts on it before we move on?
I tried not to play it too much, Chris.
Oh no, yeah. Again, look, it wasn't me like trying to like stop you guys from playing. It was just me like I need to embrace that we were in different mindsets that weekend, and like it worked out. Like my plan was to do photography like that Saturday, which I ended up doing, and like it's something that wouldn't have worked if I was trying to walk around and do photos, but I was also like waiting for you guys to like stop your fights and then catch up kind of thing. Like it worked out that the two groups, me in my own and you guys in yours, like we had things to kind of fill the spaces and the time. All right. So next up, we had some Black Myth Wukong previews this week. Game launches August 20th. So first up, just some push square coverage by Stephen Tailby. We'd hesitate to call this a Souls-like. It's more Souls adjacent, with some elements of that action game subgenre, but a touch more forgiving. You can pause whenever you like to, and you can upgrade yourself in the skill tree from the menu. The environment design feels more linear here, with some fairly wide spaces to explore, but no sign of locations wrapping back onto themselves. Hitting enemies with your basic combo builds up will, which can be spent using a heavy attack. If you land the hit, you gain a small bit of health. Dodging is your main source of defense, with no block or parry, at least in the demo of what they played. And then some games radar coverage by Austin Wood. This is also a game with skill trees, color-coded gear rarities, one main weapon, and more linear level design, which all clash with the Souls Bible. For me, magic moment was the reveal of the actual magic system. The first spell you get just minutes into the game, or at least the demo, is called Immobilize. It freezes enemies, including bosses, in place for a few seconds, and it's every bit as powerful as it sounds. There are 4 slots for spells, and I'm told multiple spells will eventually compete for each slot. So, like, a bit of solid information that just came out in terms of how, like, the mechanic systems and what you can kind of like really expect for this. I'll start us off with it. Like, the gameplay for this looks really fun. I like the fact that it's not Souls like. It's going to be a more approachable game. Kind of like, in a sense, almost like Rise of the Ronin. I think just like where like from an outsider's perspective, you would assume that's what it is, but it's just vastly different and a lot more approachable. I have seen other people say, like people saying that there is still a great challenge to it. But no, I think this is going to be a day one buy for me. Just the gameplay and all that looks really fun. John, where are you feeling with this?
So I did check out the preview. It is visually stunning. Like, it looks really, really good. I like the different transformations. That's pretty cool too. Like, you can turn into like a giant like monkey dude and turn into like I don't even like same guy but like longer hair does more combos or something. The kind of like finishers look really cool. There's like the one where you like go up on your pole and then you just like grab the end of it from the bottom and like slam it down on him. I saw like some kind of fire attack where you had like fire to your pole and you like spin around. The monsters look crazy. Like, it all looks really good. I don't know about day one for me. Just because like lot of stuff on my log, like I've been saying pretty much every podcast. But yeah, no, definitely on my radar and definitely something I will be getting into at some point.
Nice. Anthony, where are you at with this?
It looks interesting. It might be something I consider trying if for a decent like sale price. But yeah, I don't know. It's I'm not looking for something to challenge myself with. Like when you're talking like it having difficulty to it. A lot of the other systems you described, they don't like a lot of this doesn't really speak like Souls like to me. But I've never really played the series. But especially if you're saying it's forgiving and like a lot of the systems you described just sounded like action RPG, a lot of common action RPG functions. Um, so that alone does make like at first I was like I'm just not interested. But a lot of the systems you described, I'm kind of interested, but at the same time I need like a slot where I'm like, well, I'm not sure what to play. Oh, this is on sale. I'll pick it up and give it a go. Um, but other than that, yeah, no, it does look awesome. The fights look crazy. It does remind me a lot of Rise of Ronin in a way. Obviously, the fidelity looks a lot better than Rise of Ronin, but just the fact, like, a lot of what I did in Rise of Ronin was like the perfect time dodges, like when you would dodge an attack. But the fact that there's no block and like it's mainly dodging and stuff kind of reminds me a bit of that. The fights look a lot bigger though. Obviously, you're fighting big monsters in a lot of the preview. It almost gives me Monster Hunter vibes in some of the fights too, which is, I mean, hey, if I get enough into Monster Hunter, maybe that might change my tune. That when this does release, uh, that I'm willing to give it a go. But I won't really know until I sink my teeth into Monster Hunter to see how I'm feeling.
Oh, that's totally fair. Yeah, I think like when you look at this game, there's one thing I don't think anybody can really deny, and it looks fucking beautiful. Like, it looks real
Yeah.
good. Any final thoughts on this before we move on? All
Nope.
right. So next up, Todd Howard had an interview with Mr. Matty Plays, which me and Anthony both know from the Last Stand Media on the Defining Duke podcast, and he's been obviously on the other podcasts from that network. So this was one of those ones where I didn't get to like fully listen to it because like we said, we just got back yesterday. It was an hour-long interview. Obviously yesterday, exhausted. Today, like I managed to listen to a good chunk of it, like in and out, and then I wrote down notes just from like some websites discussing about what was mentioned. basically the things that I took away from it, he said that currently their plan is to keep going with Fallout 76. He said they have a great internal roadmap planned out for the next several years. So there's some solid commitment for that to keep growing as a games as service. Agrees to the idea of gamers having expectations that their single player experiences will be updated for years to come. So not strictly a release it and not really support it kind of thing, like more so what we're kind of seeing right now with, like, say, Starfield, where they've had a lot of updates. They have the new expansion coming out sometime this year, which, to add on to that, he mentioned that they do plan on doing more story expansions for Starfield, even as the team continues to work on Elder Scrolls 6. So essentially, I think the plan was Shattered Space is supposed to come out this fall, I believe. They'll have another year of just like quality of life updates, and then eventually reveal the next expansion, which you'll probably see maybe like a year after that. I don't know how long like the life cycle is for them developing that. No current plans on Starfield coming for PlayStation, at least that was announced. I don't think that question was specifically asked. There was one noticeable thing that I listened to, and I also read in an article just to confirm I heard it correctly. When talking about Elder Scrolls 6, he started talking about how it's been 6 years since that teaser trailer came out. So it's been a while, right? So here's like the quote pulled from like an article just for accuracy. Now it's the 6th anniversary of us releasing the teaser for Elder Scrolls 6. Might be today. So that did make me pause and say, oh, wow, that has been a while. And now that we're working on Elder Scrolls 6 and we get to see it here in studio, you do miss it. We appreciate all of those thoughts and are with the fans on that. We're working hard on it, and one day we'll have it for everybody. So the thing I found interesting is we'll have it for everybody. Just like with Microsoft having the 4 games come out on other platforms, words coming around that we're going to be seeing more stuff come to other platforms. The new Doom game being confirmed, it's coming to like PlayStation and all that. The phrasing I found really interesting. Unfortunately, I don't think in the moment Matty picked up on it because he went into like something else, so he didn't kind of like piggyback off of that. Maybe, I don't know if it's just me, but to me it kind of like sounded like a hint of like, if not day one multi-platform, there are plans for sure of it eventually going like to the other platforms. But like, Anthony, what are your thoughts on like this whole interview?
Well, that specifically what you're just talking about definitely interests me. I wonder too if, I mean, I have nothing to base this off of, but what if that entry is going to be intended, or not intended, but shipped with the option for some form of co-op, you know? And what better way to sell more copies and have more people be able to play together than have it on multiple systems with crossplay, right? That would be amazing. And I mean, even if not, like, we've already seen what kind of sales they did on the games they brought over to PlayStation, right? That is a huge game that up until now has been on everything. Starfield was the first in its series, right? And it only came out on Xbox, so there's no like predecessor to that game to be like, oh, they took it away, right? So even though I think they've initially intended to not bring it everywhere, but I think in the current climate, I'm pretty sure like that's what they're intending to do. Like, and they're probably, the way they're probably going to backwalk it is like, oh, well, this series has been everywhere, so we're going to keep it everywhere, right? Which would be awesome because I don't know if the Series S that I have would be able to handle it very well when it comes out. So if it does come out on a PlayStation console, which I usually will have for the most part, the most up to date console. Besides Pro versions, I usually skip those. But like whether it comes out the PS5, PS6 generation, I would love that. That would be awesome. Because yeah, like why would he say everybody? Like that is such a specific way to say it, you know?
Yeah, it's specific and it's very loaded. Like,
Yeah.
no, that was the one thing out of everything I heard that definitely really caught my attention. What are you feeling on this, John?
I read a little bit about the interview. Honestly, like if they make Starfield a better game, so be it. I'm still probably not going to be very much interested in it. I'm sure the DLC will add a lot to it, but I mean, from what I've heard, like the exploration's boring, and I can't really see a way that they can fix that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think I kind of like was in and out of that conversation, but I think he mentioned like nothing, like he's like, oh, there's no reason to like bring out another Fallout game right now. Like with Fallout being like huge right now because of the show. Um, yeah, like it would be cool to see another Fallout in the near future, but like, did Fallout 4? Yeah, Fallout 4 was like maybe 2017.
That's a good
I think so.
question. Yeah, I'll look it up real quick. But if you want to carry on with your thought, I'll look it up for you.
Like Fallout 4 still feels pretty recent. That they would, it's 2015. That they wouldn't need another Fallout game right now. If anything, like I'd like to see Elder Scrolls 6 like come soon, like in the near future.
Mhm.
Even if it is an Xbox exclusive, like I'll figure out a way to play it. But yeah, I didn't really read much into the actual interview, so don't have too much.
Hopefully, with how he worded it and how me and Anthony like interpreted it, you won't have to get an Xbox. Like realistically, like with how they saw Sea of Thieves do, and like the track record of Skyrim on all these different consoles, like you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you're just releasing it on Xbox, especially with the whole Game Pass ecosystem. Like a lot of people not paying the full price for it. But only time will tell for that. And then as to what you said, John, yeah, you're correct. I remember him mentioning what you said about Fallout, and he also doubled down on. Matty asked about like a remake of like Fallout 1 or 2, but Phil said they didn't really feel an urgency for that, and for anyone who wanted to play those games could play it on PC. And then Matty asked, well, like, do you think you could ever see a console release for 1 and 2 just so like people could experience it via that? Like obviously they'd have to rework the whole controls, but he doubled down on you can play it through PC so you can experience it there. So like it doesn't seem at the very least like there are any plans for those games to get updated. And it didn't really give a lot of concrete information as to, like if the rumored Fallout 3 remake is even a thing. I'm going to assume, based off what I heard from the conversation, probably not so much. Any final thoughts on this one before we move on? All right. Next up, we had another preview this week, Dragon Age the Veilguard. The official gameplay reveal video was about 20 minutes in length. No official release date. I believe it's just fall 2024, right? I think for that one. Some additional information according to a Dragon Age blog. You'll begin by diving into the character creator. You choose your class, lineage, gender, overall appearance, and more. Choosing which faction Rook is part of will unlock different narrative dialogue and gameplay interactions. This game will support various skill levels, but at its core, Dragon Age of the Veilguard has fluid moment-to-moment combat where you can choose between 3 classes, warrior, mage, or rogue, each having their own advanced specializations. There's also a layer of tactical depth for those who want to dig in, which we really didn't get to cover in this video. Yeah, because like the video itself, if I remember correctly, Anthony, we were talking about this. The characters that were shown were at level 1, right? Like they
It
were
was like
very
the
limited.
opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like the opening to like the whole game. Maybe there might be maybe some stuff just before it, but it's like very, very early in the game, it seems.
Yeah. John, I'll go to you first. Like, what were your thoughts on like the gameplay and what we've seen so far?
It looks good. It doesn't look like they're going like the Dragon Age 2 route where they went like super action hacky slashy, which I wasn't a big fan of. I did like the more tactical approach of Inquisitor and Origins. I do like the like it almost seems like a direct sequel to In- Inquisition. Couple of the characters from Inquisition. I don't remember if they were in Dragon Age Origins or 2, but like Varric, and it looks like Solus plays like a big role in this game too. Um, I didn't really see the character creator. Did they show anything from it, or was it just
I believe
they
that
just
was
said?
strictly pulled from just like the blog. It was just
Oh, okay,
additional info they released like afterwards. Yeah, because
I
I
didn't.
only recall the gameplay itself and the narrative choices.
I didn't see it, but I read somebody. I read the comment on the YouTube video that I watched that somebody like they discussed the character creator and like how in depth it's going to be. Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of Dragon Age overall, so I'm sure I'll get right into this like when it comes out. Um, I'm very excited. Like it's going to be. Hopefully, it doesn't end up as boring as Inquisition. I want to say. I don't know. Have you guys played Inquisition at all?
I tried getting
Nope.
into it, but like I see what you said for the boring. Like, yeah, I just didn't vibe with it, and I kind of dropped off quickly.
Yeah, it just kind of had more like it was very exploration based, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot to the worlds you were in. It was mainly like gathering, and maybe every once in a while you could find like a piece of gear. But yeah, hopefully they find a way to avoid doing that with this one. Um, Otherwise, like you'll see it on sale for like $3 or $4, like you see Inquisition like regularly.
Anthony, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it didn't. From what I was expecting, and again, my expectations could have been too high, but like the art style they went with, like it reminds me of like Kingdoms of Amalur, which came out in like 2012. Like it just like I don't know. Do we still consider like Bioware like kind of like a AAA studio?
Like a quality
Yeah,
studio, like because like their last thing
Or
was what
or they,
Anthem, right? Like,
yeah,
uh,
their last couple games, their last few games were an
fair
absolute
yeah.
enough.
mess. So
That's fair enough. Yeah. Um, Not that it looks bad. It's just from what I was expecting as an entry in the Dragon Age series. Like just I don't know. It just seemed very cartoony, feely. If that kind of if that even like I know it's not full on cartoony. Like not saying like Fortnite levels, but just a lot more in that direction than I was expecting them to go. Um, and as far as the combat goes, like again, like the combat didn't look bad. I know like we were saying, Chris, like it's definitely earlier in the game, so like a lot less abilities being showcased. So definitely gonna hold out for more footage on some mid game, late game combat, but it didn't look that didn't it felt it looked kind of clunky to me, if that makes sense. Um, and just the mixing in with like the random arrow shoot, like just the way that was mixed in, like, and he was like, I don't know, I feel like just think off the top of my head, like if that random moment where like he dodges back, pulls out an arrow, and he has to manually aim it, I think it would have made more sense if it was like you lock onto an enemy, and when you backflip, you pull your arrow and you just shoot the guy you're locked onto. I don't know, maybe. I mean, they're the devs; they would know better. It what they showed in the fights just felt kind of clunky, I guess, in my opinion. Um, Maybe I feel different if I was the one playing it. I don't know, but I'm gonna hold out though on to see some more stuff once there's more abilities being showcased. I'm sure we'll see some more. Like the game's little bit out still, so hopefully we see a bit more combat and maybe a sneak peek at these more in depth gear and skill trees and stuff. But it's kind of lukewarm on it right now, I guess.
No, that's totally fair. As to what you said, yeah, the thing I'm interested in their decision for the combat for what they showcase. Like with this being a 20-minute video to kind of like I think build the hype for the combat, I just question I just question why they decided to limit to such an early build of your character. Like, I'm not saying they show the end game like high level stuff, like just like maybe even like level 5, which is like a little bit more shown in the mix. It's always tricky when you're watching gameplay because it's hard to interpret how you would feel playing it, right? I think it's always most common like where it's hard to really get a grasp for gameplay is like with first person shooters because like depending on how you're watching somebody play the game, it's like it's not how like you'll play it, so it could come off as jarring when in reality like it'll probably feel really smooth. I did end up looking up just like the little history of like the most recent BioWare game. So like before Dragon Age Veilguard, they did the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which I do consider that a win. It is also like a remaster of the first 3 games, so like it's kind of an easy win. Prior to that, we had Anthem. Prior to that, we had Mass Effect Andromeda, which was not received very well. They had a game canceled, Shadow Realms, and then prior to that, it was Dragon Age Inquisition. So, yeah, I don't think BioWare, unfortunately, currently holds the power or like the name quality that it did back in the day, you know, when they had the history of the Knights of the Old Republic games or the Dragon Age Mass Effect, you know, when they were like firing on all cylinders. Hopefully this is a game that kind of sets them back on the right track, maybe, because they are supposed to be working on another Mass Effect game as well, right? So like this, for all we know, this could be like that step toward like, I don't want to say like redemption, but kind of redemption, right? Like yeah, you never know. You never know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in on it. Going to what you said too, but I know we talked about like the visuals, Anthony, a couple times this weekend. Yeah, I think like for me, like when I first saw, especially the cutscenes, I kind of was like, in terms of the cartoony aspect, like I think like I thought of like almost like Overwatch, like you know, like just and it wasn't Anthony, you said it perfectly with like expectations, right? It's definitely on me, I think, for expectations as well. But like that was not how I pictured this game looking at all. Um, but if the gameplay ends up being fun, the story ends up being good, maybe the visuals will grow on me. I don't know.
Well, that was like when we were talking. I remember when we were like, "Oh, maybe maybe this is why they changed the name because they realized that Dreadwolf didn't exactly fit the visuals of what we're seeing because Dreadwolf just sounds very dark, very like, mute colors, maybe
Almost
not as
Witcher
vibrant.
like, I would say.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, but we'll see. I'm gonna hold my hard judgments until I see a bit more um, for the combat. The art style, again, I don't dislike the art style. Like I like Wayfinder, very similarly in art style, and I had a lot of fun with that game. It's just what I was like, picturing in my
Yeah.
head before I saw it. But as far as the combat goes, I'm going to hold my judgment till I can see a little more on that. Because I would like to play. I didn't play Inquisition. I heard a lot of bad things about it. I did boot it up, but I didn't get very far. I think I only played like 40 minutes, and it wasn't the game's fault at the time. It was just sometimes I get in a mood where I find it hard to latch on to games. I was just a victim of that moment. But I just never seeked it out again because I just heard a lot of not great things about it. But I did enjoy the first one. I really enjoyed the second one as well. Um, so I am interested. I just got to see more before I put my money in their hand.
Oh, it's yeah, it's totally fair. Any final thoughts on this one before we move on? No. All right.
Yeah.
So next up, a quick one. PS5 Discord update. So the mobile app will no longer be required to join Discord chat. You can now join via your PlayStation 5. So I will say, as of right now, the recording of this Monday, Monday, June 17th. This was announced 5 days ago, and they said they're gradually rolling it out. So like it's a safe bet right now, and possibly when this comes out, not everywhere will have this feature. So when you first press the PlayStation button on your controller to open up the control center and navigate to the game base, next pick the new Discord option in the game base, select a server, hit join, and boom, you're in. And just more so what they said, the feature will gradually be rolling out to different regions over the next coming weeks. Once the rollout ends, everyone who has updated their PS5 console to the latest system update and has linked their Discord and PlayStation Network accounts will be able to call directly from their consoles. And article just said we'll update it when it's finally out for everyone. This is definitely a win. This is more so closer to what I think we all thought it was going to be like when they first announced like the Discord partnership. Like, it is cool being able to access Discord on PlayStation, even more so now that it's just less tedious. I still prefer the party system to like on PS5. Like, we only I think ever use Discord if we have somebody who's not playing on console. But just anything to make things a bit more simpler. John, what are you thinking with this?
I think it's amazing. It's less complicated, and it's good news for a person like me who is normally a PC player.
Mhm.
It'll make me a little less hesitant if there's ever a game that comes out that we're all planning on playing together. Much like the game I'm playing right now. We'll get into that in a minute. It's great news for me, and I can't wait to try it out.
This one really clicked with you, if Anthony, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, just talking Destiny, right? Like, over the years I've been playing with you guys, like we've had several people come and go in the group, and several of them have been not on PlayStation with us, and we've had to do workarounds. Before this system, the current system we have, at one point we had to straight up to use Discord, which a lot of us would lose our game audio when we were playing, which was unfortunate. And then even the new system, it works, like you said, Chris, but like everything's initiated from the Discord end of things, which was weird because like the way they were wording it before it came out initially, like it just the vibe we got from what they said was coming, it just felt very minimal to what we thought we were going to get, because it just seemed like it wasn't PlayStation getting Discord, it was like Discord getting PlayStation in a way, you know. But these changes coming will be really good, because I know we have one guy that pops in with us every now and again that plays on Xbox. So that'll be great. When we came with him, and you know, down the road, if we have other guys from different consoles, PC, whatever, that we have a much smoother option at all times, rather than us having to be like, oh, okay, let's go to the Discord. You know? So, yeah, but honestly, outside of that unique scenario, doesn't matter to me too much, the current system. It's really just that unique scenario where we game with the one or two guys. I'm just glad, but I'm glad it's coming, because it's what we thought we were supposed to. It's what we thought we were getting initially. So, just glad to have it.
All right. Any final thoughts on this one? All right. Next up, Banana tops over 800,000 players on Steam. So it's a free-to-play clicker game. When it was first reported by Paul Tassi from Forbes, the game had it over 400,000 concurrent players. It has now since doubled. So, like, from that time, Anthony, you sent this article to me. It's already fucking doubled in like the max concurrent, which is insane.
Jesus.
The game is described by its own creator as a legal money printer. The one aspect of the game that exists outside of clicking is that every so often you will get a banana skin, a skin that is sellable on the Steam marketplace. Most skins sell for 3 cents or so, though some have sold for hundreds or even under 1,000. But the skin selling idea just generates money for all parties. If a skin is sold for 3 cents, the player gets a penny, the developer gets a penny, and Steam gets a penny, thereabouts. Now multiply this by a zillion transactions, and you get where things are going here. So these were all, like, everything I just said right there is obviously pulled from Paul Tassi's article, his wording. I haven't really delved too deep into this outside of the article that you sent to me, and then like the follow up on this one, Anthony. I know you brought this up to me, so I'll let you take it from here. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so essentially, these people, like it references in there that like the power to run the game is like negligible to almost any modern PC. So much so that people are setting up and botting like thousands and thousands of accounts. And that's why the numbers are jumping. It's not, there's not actually 800,000 people playing. It was like I'm just pulling this out of my ass, but like I'm pretty sure at this point like more than half of that number are bot accounts. And they're just doing it to get the skins to sell in the Steam store for money. And it sounds to me like what you were just saying there, Chris, with like the everyone makes out here, like the Steam, the developer, and the user on the sale. Obviously, the developer's not going to do anything because this is an intended use, and then Steam is not going to do anything about the bots because they're making money, right? So why would they? My question is though, like these skins, like there's got to be a drop off point at some point, especially like that number's going to get so high that the value of these skins are just going to plummet to the point where people are people going to? I guess there is places like where was it? Was it Venezuela or something like that was popular on botting on RuneScape? What was it? Some place in the world where like the value of their currency is like really really bad. I could see places like that even when the skins prices crash that they are getting from this game to continue to do it because 3 cents to them per skin is a profit. So maybe it never will end. It'll just start only. It'll get to a point where it's only happening in like third world countries. But as of right now, like that's crazy. And just under $1,000. Like what poor sod bought that for just under $1,000? That's insane.
I may have gotten drunk and bought a really dope skin. No. John, I think you were playing this. I don't know. I could be wrong. I might have heard you briefly playing. What are your thoughts on this?
So, so hold on one sec.
Did you get a skin?
Not yet.
I wonder how
Okay.
long it takes for one individual not botting and just playing legitimately to actually get a skin. Like, I wonder
So-
if they have those numbers out there.
Based on my gameplay so far, I have a bit of a review for you guys. Okay, so graphics 10 out of 10. It's banana.
Banana for skin.
Gameplay 10 out of 10. I'm clicking it. It's a banana. Oh, I'm a millionaire. Oh, cool. Yeah, sorry, I gotta go. I have money now.
Just get an auto clicker. I have one. I'll
Bye.
send it to you.
How would you review the voice acting? I'm kind of curious about that. Is the story really in depth? Like, is it good?
Yeah. So my mouse is clicking and making a sound, so I'm considering that the voice acting.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
All right.
They should put in that every time you click, it does like Tickle Me Elmo voiceovers.
And
Let's see how many
that'll
people
sell.
keep botting after that.
That'll sell for $500.
I feel like they could like, or even take that approach, Anthony.
Can you guys see it in my glasses? Can you see the banana?
No.
But like Anthony, they could take an approach where you just like hear like a lady moan every time you click the mouse, and then it immediately gets like somebody like you into the game.
Well,
I
I'll
think
touch
that-
a banana.
I think the skins are just a rumor because I'm at like 2,000 clicks and I haven't gotten a single.
Well, keep in mind, man. Like, you have someone running 1,000 of those using an auto clicker, clicking like 10 times faster than you could ever hope to with your finger, right? So like that output is essentially probably 1,000,000 times more than you are doing in a 10-second window. That's why I'm wondering, like, what are the actual odds? Like, I wonder if is that a thing? I guess it's because the sale happens like outside the game. Because like a gotcha game, for example, like when you're like doing something that has like an odd, like a what do you call it? Like basically gambling, like percentage chance based off doing something. Like they have to publish the odds. Like it's a law by law in most countries. But obviously the sale for the skin is like outside the game, so obviously they probably need to give that information.
I
But I
just
am curious.
downloaded an auto clicker.
There you go. There you go.
We'll see. We'll
Now,
see how this goes.
now what you can do is look up a way to do like the what is it called? Where you basically can it'll allow you to open multiple steams, separate steams, and then then you make it so you fit like 4 windows across the top, and then 4 in the middle, 4 at the bottom on every monitor, and then you have like 20 of them and then set up the auto clicker to go crazy. Bam.
Equals profit.
That would probably get. I bet you at that volume of like 12 accounts running, you might make 20 cents a day.
Oh. That's
I'm
20 cents more than I make now.
All right. Any final thoughts on this one?
It's
Click,
fucking weird,
click,
man.
click, 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 click.
Like it's a money printing machine until the people buying them stop, and I'm just trying to figure out like who are these people buying them? You know, maybe it's the developer buying them to like. Have you seen that where it's like I think it was happening a lot with what was the thing called where like they were like trying to own images online, like digital images. What was that called?
NFT.
NFT. Like if you like you saw that stuff about NFTs where like they would do fake sales. They would basically buy an NFT from themselves to make it look like it was worth so much, and then they would just continuously do that till someone that wasn't them would buy it for that value because they thought, oh, it's worth this much. It's been sold this many times at this price. Meanwhile, it's just the same money, constantly buying it. But yeah, it's just crazy the world we live in where this is a thing.
So dumb. That's all I can say. Like, I just find it just so dumb.
Yeah.
Teach their own. Oh my god.
You guys just don't know. You haven't experienced it yet.
We're gonna see John next time. He's gonna be like, check out this chocolate bar. I bought it by clicking a banana.
All right. Final question. Now that Summer Game Fest has come and gone, what was your favorite thing shown? Anthony, what was yours?
Surprisingly, I would say like there's quite a bit of stuff shown, and I'd probably say a lot of the stuff we've seen in more detail about Metaphor Refantasio. Just because like I know it's very different from the Persona series. I just never got into that series, but I played several Atlas games and I really enjoyed them. And when Sean first told me about this game, like before we had seen anything on it, I just figured it's a fantasy style Persona game, like not in the school. So I'm like, it's not for me. But like the more and more I see of it, the more and more I'm like, this game actually looks awesome. So I'm pretty much, I think I went from like zero interest, like when we did our draft, which would have been, just over 6 months ago or whatever, like December, to 6 months later, I'm pretty much a day one buy at this point. It just looks amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm at with that game. Just I think I might actually give it a go if there's nothing that comes out like around that same time period.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I should probably look at what the release date is,
Mhm.
kind of gauge off of that before I commit.
John.
October 11th. I don't know what else is coming out yet. So.
That's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that says still 2024 that like could come out. Like, granted, like something that wouldn't necessarily affect you, but like Avowed could come out then. Indiana Jones could come out then, which would immediately grab my attention more.
I do have interest in Avowed as well too.
I think Avowed wound up being really really sweet.
Mhm.
John, what was your highlight for everything that's shown at Summer Game Fest?
So you guys are going to be shocked when I say this. Monster Hunter Wilds was my number one thing shown. I can't wait for that game. It feels so far away, and
Yeah.
I feel like it'll never feel any closer. But yeah, just the stuff that they kind of like hinted at, like the being able to swap your weapon pretty much on the spot. Oh, beautiful. And then some of the monsters that they showed off, just gorgeous. I can't wait to see what like you won't have a Monster Hunter game without Rathian and Rathalos, right? I can't wait to see what they look like. Can't wait to see what like who they add to the game, because there are monsters in Monster Hunter games previous to World that haven't been in a single game since. So can't wait to see if maybe they add some of those too. Yeah, I'm super excited for that one.
Dude, they should do like an Elder Dragon version of Rathalos, like King Rathalos or something. That would be
I could see
cool.
that. I could see that being a thing. That would be cool. I think second to that, if I had to pick a second, would have been the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta. Stoked too.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that showed really well. Like the gameplay looks like they're doing a fantastic job with it for sure. Yeah, I think for me, uh, it. So Keeley said that the state of play was a part of it, but like I still feel like that's kind of a cop out on his part, just because they announced it separately and it was like a full week before the Summer Game Fest stuff. So I feel like he just threw it in there for the sake of throwing it in there. Like in a world where I can justify including it in it, I would say Astrobot, but I'm gonna leave that off the table for this discussion because I still find it all iffy on if it's included or not. But I think the thing that I was most excited about was Gears of War E-Day, because I remember when I got my 360 for Christmas back in the day, and it came with Gears of War 1. I fucking loved that trilogy. I played 4, I liked 4. I never really played 5. I kind of lost interest over the years. But this is something that I think will bring me back into the fold. Uh, I just like love the characters like Marcus and Dom and all that, like the brotherhood of the original trilogy. So I'm definitely excited to get my hands on that. Plus, like that CGI looks fucking beautiful, or like the cutscene looks beautiful. I know there's like a whole big thing. I guess Keeley got crapped on by the developers of Gears because like he said, oh, like an animation team made this, but it was actually like an animation team with the in-game engine. So like he kind of like the developers took it as like he was lessening the quality, or like lessening the hype of like what they showed. So I don't know. He's an interesting individual, but I'm excited for a revisit to Gears in an interesting timeline where everything's going to shit. Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's been another episode of the Gadpie Podcast. I'm Chris. That's Anthony.
See you later, bud.
And John.
I'm gonna roll for outro now, okay? Shit.
What do you get?
It's a 1.
One.
That's a what?